What is up, bass fishing freaks? Luke Reeser here from Too Fat to Hunt Outdoors. Welcome back to another episode of Tackle Tip Tuesday, just the tip. So today on Tackle Tip Tuesday, we're not in the shop, we're out here. I figured I'd do it outside. It's a beautiful 21 degrees out right now, sun's up, it's warm as crap out. I got the bed of the truck open, I got this old countertop here, and I got one tackle box, and we're gonna talk about what's inside. Stay tuned, folks. Tackle Talk starts right now. Alright guys, well, if you watch my channel and you watch it religiously, you probably know that I do a lot of flipping for bass. Flipping for bass is probably one of my favorite things to do, probably my favorite way to catch bass in the entire world. So, when you're flipping for bass, you're probably flipping one of two things. You're either flipping some sort of a jig or something Texas rig. So, if you are flipping a Texas rig, you know you need three things. You need a weight, you need a hook, and you need a worm or some sort of soft plastic. And technically you don't even need the weight if you're flipping something weightless, but I don't hardly ever do that. 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, I got a weight on there. So today we're gonna talk about what weight you need to use to flip soft plastics. So a lot of people ask me in my videos what size weights I use and what weights I use and how I determine what size of weight I'm gonna use. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So we're gonna start out real simple. This right here is my terminal tackle box. This has got all my weights and hooks inside, or the majority of them. This is a Flambeau Ike approved, or Ike series terminal tackle box. And the reason that I like it is because it's got these compartments in here that you can take out, and they're rust preventative. Don't say rust proof because nothing is rust proof, but they're rust resistant. And I really like this because you can take these containers out here. So like in here I got all tungsten weights in there. This one here I got all lead weights in there. Hooks, jig heads, different size hooks. So these are like flipping hooks. These are jig heads, these are swim bait hooks. Big hooks. Other terminal stuff, pegs, wacky hooks, more tungsten, shaky heads, more big old hooks, shaky heads, Ned rigs. So it's pretty handy. Oh, I've went and pulled a few of my tungsten weights out. So here's what I got lined up for you. These are the ones that I use most frequently. So I got 3/4, 3/8, 5/16, 1/4 ounce, 1/8 ounce, and a 1/16 ounce. Those are the ones that I use the most. And we're gonna start off with the heavier one. So here's a 3/4 ounce tungsten. Now the only time I'm gonna use that is if I'm punching, and I hardly ever punch. I just don't have a lot of experience punching. Haven't really done it a lot, haven't really had any success with it, but if I do it, this is what I'm using. 3/4 ounce and even go up, but 9 times out of 10, this gets me through it. So the only time I'm using this heavy of a weight really is if I'm punching something heavy. And I would say that 9 times out of 10, I'm flipping either a 1/4 ounce or a 3/16 ounce. Those are the two that I use the majority of the time because I usually flip shallow. And when I say shallow, I'm talking 6 inches of water up till 10 feet of water. But most of the time I'm in that 1 to 6 feet range. And that is usually sufficient enough to get your bait down to the bottom. Another thing is if you're fishing in some current and you're using a lighter weight like that, your bait looks really natural because it's rolling with the current. And that's what bait fish do. They roll. If they get stuck in the current, they're gonna, roll through the current. Most of them aren't gonna be right on the bottom because have you ever seen a crawfish that weighed so much that it was rubbing the rocks on the bottom in really heavy current? If it gets up into the current, the water's going to take it, and it's going to Probably be in the middle of the water column, depending on how deep it is. But I've had a lot of success using a lighter weight in the current. Now, I will go down to a 1/16 ounce once in a while, and what I really like this for is for flipping Senkos. So if I'm somewhere where, like a weightless Senko, I just want it to drop a little faster, put this little bitty tungsten on there, let her drop. It just adds a little bit, you know, it drops a little bit, adds a little different profile from the guy who's flipping the wacky worm weightless in front of you, and you're coming behind him with just a little bit heavier weight, and you're flipping it Texas rig, you're gonna get bit. So then that leaves me with the two bigger ones that I use, the 5/16 and the 3/8. There really is no set in stone right or wrong answer when it comes to this. You just pretty much got to go with what the fish tell you. Here's when I use these heavier weights. If I'm fishing deeper water, so if I'm fishing like 8 to 12 feet of water, or anything deeper than that, I will probably be using these heavier weights over the smaller ones that I typically use. Or another reason I'll use these is if you're going down a bank and you're flipping a lighter weight and you're only catching small fish, try putting a bigger weight on. And it'll just make your whole bait that much beefier, and it's gonna hit the water harder, it's gonna thump louder, it's gonna hit the bottom faster, and it might trigger them bigger fish to bite. The smaller ones might be scared of it, and the bigger fish will grab it. I've seen it a lot of times where you put a little heavier weight on, you'll catch bigger fish. Even a 1/2 ounce, sometimes go up to a 1/2 ounce. I don't have any of them right now, but I will once in a while go up to a 1/2 ounce. 9 times out of 10, it's either 5/16 or 3/8. So the basic rule of thumb, I would say, when you're trying to decide which tungsten to use, which size to use, I would say go with, you always want to use the lightest weight you can get away with. So if I'm flipping a 1/4 ounce weight and I'm hitting the bottom and my bait is not running in front of the boat and I can feel the bottom and I'm getting bit, I know I'm doing something right. I'm gonna stay with that weight. But if I'm throwing in there and either the current's taking it away and I'm not catching fish, obviously it's not getting down to where them fish are. So if the fish are higher up in the water column and your bait's floating away but you're catching fish, then stick with that. You found something, and you probably found something that most people didn't. But like I said, if you're not catching fish and you can't feel the bottom and you're losing confidence, don't put it down and pick up a whole different bait. Just switch to a bigger weight and you will catch more fish. So hope you guys enjoyed this short little Tackle Tip Tuesday, just the tip video. Hope it helped somebody out. Hope I answered some questions for some of you guys who wondered what size weights to use and just what weights I use. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do that now. Hit the bell so you get notified every time I put out a new video. Clobber that thumbs up button. Luke Reister signing off. Always remember, you're never too fat to fish.